guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a very chocolatey dessert. It is a flourless chocolate cake with chocolate mousse and a chocolate glaze, and I'm super excited to show you guys this recipe because it's gluten-free and it has no flour. So let's jump right in to the video. So first we're gonna start with the cake, and I have all my ingredients behind me. It is a flourless cake, so there's not many ingredients. We have 2 tablespoons of milk, and we have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We have 4 tablespoons of granulated white sugar, 1 cup of dark chocolate. These are just dark chocolate chips. You can use a dark chocolate like a chocolate bar, but I'm just using some chocolate chips, 4 eggs, and some vanilla extract. So to start, I have a pot with some boiling water in it because we're gonna create a double broiler to melt our chocolate. So I have a small bowl here, and we're gonna put it right on top of our pot, like that. And you're gonna add your chocolate to it with your butter, and you're gonna let that melt until it's nice and smooth. So like that. So the heat from the water will melt your chocolate and your butter. And we're gonna let that go until it melts. You want to stir this occasionally so your chocolate and butter melt together. This is what it looks like. Almost completely melted. Turn off my heat because the water is hot enough to melt the remaining chunks of chocolate. Now that I have my chocolate all nice and melted, we're going to add our milk to it. Stir this and stir until the milk is incorporated with the chocolate. And once it's well incorporated, we're going to put this away and let it cool down, and we're going to work on our eggs. Now we're going to start making our meringue. For that, you're going to need your 4 eggs, and we're going to separate the eggs. The way I find best to separate eggs is to shuffle the egg yolk between the shell. So crack it on your surface, and then just shuffle your egg yolk in between the shells so your white drops into your bowl. And save the yolks. We're going to need the yolks as well. I'm going to do this to all 4 of your eggs. So you're going to want to try and not get any yolk into your egg whites, because then egg yolks have fat in them, and that will prevent your meringue from whipping to soft peaks, which is what we want. So now I have my egg whites, and I'm going to use an electric beater to get a meringue. So let's go. Once your egg whites are nice and frothy looking like this, you're gonna continue beating it while gradually adding sugar, and you want to get soft peaks. So the way you know that you have soft peaks is when you lift your beaters. It's gonna form little cloud-like things that like fall over. That's when you know you'll have soft peaks. So we're gonna beat it until we get soft peaks. Here we have our egg whites. So if I pick up my beater like this, you can see, let's do it a little faster. So if I come off and then pick up my beaters, you can see it kind of falls over like that. That's what you want. And our meringue is ready. Now we're gonna work on the egg yolks. Egg whites are over there, and now we're gonna work on our egg yolks. So you're gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, your egg yolks. Fun fact, if you didn't know, the cap of your vanilla extract is actually exactly 1 teaspoon. So you don't even need a measuring spoon for this. So just 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And now you're also gonna beat this until light and fluffy. It's not gonna get as homogeneous as the egg whites, but it's still gonna get fluffy. You can tell when it's ready when it's a pale yellow color. So let's go. So now you can see our egg yolks are a much paler color, and now we're going to be incorporating our chocolate into this. So you need to make sure your chocolate is room temperature or else it will cook the egg yolks. So we're going to add our chocolate into this mixture. You're gonna fold this in until it's all incorporated. Hey guys, it's Emily from the future. So I just wanted to record this little voiceover telling you guys that I forgot to record me mixing the egg whites into our chocolate mixture. So what you want to do is you want to add 1/3 of your egg whites to the chocolate. Mix that in, make sure it's well incorporated, and then you're going to add the rest of the chocolate with 1/3 of the meringue mixed into it back into the meringue so we don't lose air. And then you're going to fold that in. I'm sorry for the little mishap, but yeah, let's continue with the video. You want to mix this gently so you don't lose any of the air that we beat into the egg whites. And once you're done mixing, that's your cake batter. So now we're going to bake this in a sheet pan. So you want your sheet pan lined with parchment paper, and you're going to bake it in the oven at 340 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. It's at a lower temperature because because it's a thin sheet and we want it to cook all the way through. But we also don't want to suddenly shock it so that the outsides get nice and crispy but the inside is still raw. Okay. I will see you with a finished cake. Here is our cake ready. And now we're gonna make a chocolate filling. It is essentially a chocolate mousse. So let's do that. So to make our chocolate mousse, we need to make some whipped cream. So in this bowl, I have 1 1/4 cups of heavy whipping cream, and I have 2.5 tablespoons of sugar, and I'm gonna also add some vanilla extract. So first, you're gonna add your vanilla extract to your heavy cream. And then to make your whipping cream, you're going to gradually add sugar as you use your electric mixer, and you're going to whip it until it's light and fluffy. And that's how you make whipped cream. We'll see you with whipped cream. And now we have our whipped cream. So now we're going to start working on our ganache that we're going to mix with the whipped cream to make our frosting or our mousse. So here we have 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of dark chocolate, and to this you're going to add 1/3 cup of heavy cream, and now we're going to use that same double broiler method that we used to melt our butter and chocolate to melt this into a smooth, chocolatey, just deliciousness. I have my chocolate all melted with the heavy cream, and now we're going to combine both the whipped cream and the ganache to make our mousse. So you're going to add it a little bit at a time so you don't lose that air again. You want to slowly mix it. Make sure you have no lumps. Once you've mixed in 1/3 of it, you can add all of it at once. I'm gonna mix this in until it is a thick consistency. Now we have our mousse ready. I'm gonna pop it in the fridge for a few minutes while it chills, while we cut our cake. To be able to stack it, we need to cut it evenly, so I'm gonna do that next. So here's our finished cake. It's fully cooled, and it cools very quickly because it's very thin. So here I just have my cooling rack and a piece of parchment paper. So you're gonna lay this parchment on top. Make sure to use an offset spatula like this to just go around the cake once so it doesn't stick. And make sure to just get it free off the walls. Some pieces may come off like this, save them for later. And then just slide it all around. Now your cake is ready to flip onto your cooling rack. You're going to place your parchment paper on top, and then place your cooling rack on backwards. So mine is in 2 parts, so it's going to be harder. Like that. And you're just going to slide it off and flip it over. Like that. And it is crumbly, so be careful. And then just lift your thing off, and your cake should come right off because you put the parchment paper before. And now we're just going to peel this parchment paper, so here's just the most satisfying part. And your cake is very thin, so please be careful. So I've just placed my cake onto the kitchen counter surface with a piece of parchment on the bottom. And now I'm going to use my knife to cut off the uneven edges. And these parts would be also the parts that got more crispy in the oven. And you don't want this, and you want more even edges as well. I'm just gonna cut these parts off. Of course, be careful with the knife. You can see that part is very crispy, and that won't really make it into our cake. And that's it. Now I'm going to cut it into 3 even pieces. I'm just eyeballing it here, but try to be as accurate as you can. And this will make it easier to stack our cakes. So now we're gonna frost and stack our cakes. I just put the mousse we made into a piping bag and I put it in the freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes so it can firm up a little bit. And I'm gonna record this in hyperlapse because it's gonna take a while. So yeah, let's go. So now we're gonna make the glaze for our cake. So here I have 1 tablespoon of gelatin. This is non-flavored gelatin. And 3 tablespoons of cold water. And now we're gonna activate the gelatin. You pour the water on top of the gelatin and mix it together. And it's gonna form this thick paste-like consistency. It's kind of looks like applesauce. And now you're gonna let this sit for 10 minutes to bloom. You'll know when it's bloomed when it's nice and bubbly. It'll be kind of thicker than this, and it'll look really weird, but that's what you want it to be at. And now we're gonna work on the rest of our glaze. So now we're gonna make the rest of our glaze while we wait for the gelatin to bloom. So in a small saucepan, you're going to add half a cup of cocoa powder off heat. Then you're gonna add half cup of sugar. And then you're gonna add 3/4 cup of water. And now you're going to whisk this in, still off heat. And let the cocoa powder dissolve. And then you're going to turn on the heat once your cocoa powder is dissolved and make it medium to high heat. And then when it starts, then you just let it go until it starts to boil. Then you're going to drop your heat to low once it starts boiling. Make sure it doesn't overflow. And then you're going to add 1/3 cup of heavy cream. You're gonna whisk that in. And you're gonna let it come back to a boil. And then you're gonna turn off your heat. And then you're gonna add your bloomed gelatin. So the gelatin has become very thick and like almost like a paste, if you see. And it's kind of like stuck to the like my bowl here. So you're just gonna add that and then it's gonna dissolve. And it's gonna make our glaze like that. It's gonna have that shine to it, and it's gonna look really beautiful once we glaze it. So I just strained my chocolate mixture through a strainer into a glass bowl, and now I'm going to cover it with cling film, but press it down, like press the cling film onto the surface of the liquid so that it can chill, and it needs to chill for a good 30 minutes to an hour. And your cake is supposed to be in the fridge, and it's mine has been in there for now about 2 hours, so it needs to be in there for a good 2.5 to 3 hours as well. So I'm just gonna cling film this, put it in there, and just wait another hour to glaze my cake in the end, and then we'll cut it and then we can eat it. And 1 more hour until goodness is in your mouth. If you love chocolate, this is the best recipe for you, and it's gluten-free. It doesn't taste like it's gluten-free at all. Like, the cake is very moist. This is actually my first time trying out this recipe, and I love it so far, so we'll see how the end result goes. I will see you with a very, very cold cake and a cooled chocolate. I'm calling this chocolate syrup, but it is a chocolate glaze. So I will see you in about an hour. Bye. Not bye, I will see you in a little bit, but yeah. Here's a little check-in on our cake inside the fridge. It is not very thick, but it is very wide, as you can see. So we're just gonna cut it into thinner pieces instead of the bigger ones I was hoping we could cut. But it does have a few air bubbles, which is totally fine because we're gonna glaze it in the end. But yeah, the mousse is completely set. As you can see, it doesn't leave a thing on my finger. So yeah, I will see you guys in an hour. So I pulled the cake out of the fridge. It's been 3 hours since it's been in there.
And I'm here.
And this is the glaze. I transferred it into a glass cup because I don't have a glass, a liquid measuring cup with a pipette that I can pour over. So I'm just using a glass, but we're just gonna pour our glaze over. I have a cooling rack on top of a baking sheet.
Why don't you use this for the glaze?
So it can catch the glaze and it won't run everywhere. So we're just gonna pour it on top. And just pour it and make sure it covers every corner of your cake. And pour it pretty evenly. After about 6 hours of work put into this cake, it's finally done. I cut it up into 1/2-inch rectangles and plated it with some strawberries and blueberries. This cake is again gluten-free. It has no flour and it's very delicious. If you love dark chocolate or any chocolate, this is the dessert for you. It is very rich in chocolate and it's just amazing. It's one of my favorites and I love it. So I recommend you to try it out. It's pretty easy to make except for the stacking, but it's fine if it looks messy. This is not perfect in any way, but it's a very delicious dessert. If you liked the video, like it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!